I saw your methods and ethics on a ghost hunt a long time ago, and it was completely different to anything I'd ever seen. You were the only person who seemed to actually, give a crap about the ghosts themselves, rather than using their horror for the entertainment of others. Where did you learn those kind of ethics? What led you to that approach?
I think really the answer to that comes from reflectional thinking. When I was considering the concept of hauntings and ghosts and spirits and the things that are in that realm, one of the first things that I very quickly considered is if I was a ghost myself, possibly haunting a situation that I may not want to be a part of. If somebody came along and started hunting me for some reason, that whole experience is going to become very distressing very quickly.
Absolutely.
So I think that's really where I came at from a paranormal investigating perspective. And I think for me, it's more about how we as human beings exist in spirit as a fascination. That through studying that fascination at the beginning of my journey and really trying to understand what it must be like for them,
Yeah.
maybe it just gave me a little bit more compassion in the way I did things.
It certainly came across when I saw it. It was nothing like what I expected it to be.
What were you expecting?
I think probably some of the cliche ghost hunting programs that I'd seen on the telly, where they call a ghost supposedly, and then everybody screams.
I think from my perspective, if you want to interact with the fourth dimensional realms, you have to try and meet them halfway at least. I think this kind of concept that you may have heard about, where they talk about the veil of perception and lifting the veil to the other world,
Yeah.
this sort of idea of the concept is very much a case of we have to do something, we have to lift that veil. So, in lifting the veil, what do they really mean by that? And I think that's really about adjusting our mental perception of our situation from somewhere close to Hollywood to somewhere close to how we would like it.
Okay. You mentioned Hollywood then. If you had to talk about any particular fictional representation of spirit, would you say there was any one that was any good representation?
I think there are some good films out there that cover certain aspects, but often with Hollywood, they kind of glaze over it or bring deeper emotion to it than needs to be there, or so on and so forth. I mean, The Others is a very good film. Sixth Sense, that's a very good film. But at the same time, is if you want to understand the perception of yourself and be able to perhaps understand what it may be like in a haunting, watch Momentum.
I know the film you mean. I have seen it, and it is very, very much like that, isn't it?
Well, from my perspective, hauntings often play out on maybe a Groundhog Day. Do you remember that film with Bill
Yeah.
Murray? Yeah, maybe they kind of play out on a Groundhog Day kind of perspective. And I think the Memento film really shows how that could be quite distressing and quite hard for somebody without a physical body to make change to remember what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't have that choice, do they?
That's right. In that film, he uses his physical ability to tattoo himself to create an awareness to time and space moving forwards. You take that physical body away, how would you perceive time?
That's a very good question.
That's right. So the existence of spirit could potentially, in certain instances of certain hauntings that I've come across, been very, very frustrating for the soul or the people involved in the hauntings. Why? if you were part of that, would you ever perceive it a good thing for somebody to turn up uneducated about your problem and perhaps start poking into it, as you say, for entertainment?
Mm.
I can't think of anything more frustrating if I was a ghost.
Yeah, if you were in that position, nobody would want it, would they?
I don't think so.
Now, I witnessed a few of your paranormal investigations, and the similar thing between them all was that you really looked into reflectional thinking when you were talking about the spirit realm. My favourite example of that was when somebody asked you to do a spirit board and the response that you gave, which was such a good explanation that I think anybody who is considering ghost hunting, as they call it, or talking to the spirit realm or going to a haunted location really should need to know this. So can you tell me again to remind me as well, please?
So you covered two aspects there. One's going to haunted places. I used to visit regularly to some pretty notoriously haunted buildings and old manor houses.
Mm-hmm.
And when I took people there with me, I would say to them all very quickly at the start of what we were doing, hey, look, if this was your house and you were a ghost, how would you like it if we all turned up and started harassing and giving you grief for a night?
Yeah. I bet not many people have thought about that, particularly before you said that.
Absolutely. There's an idea that, we might all want to rest in peace, and if we're stuck in a haunting, there may not be a lot of peace to that anyway, so any little bit is probably important. So for somebody to turn up and wreck that as well could be quite unbearable.
Mm.
So I mean, I always used to say to people, look, remember, this is the place where the ghosts are. This is effectively their residence.
Yeah.
We're visiting them in their house. And if I brought some friends to come and see you in your house at home, if we did anything to wind you up, you're going to want us to leave.
Mm.
If we go anywhere near your kids and wind them up, you're going to want us to leave.
Mm.
So there are certain things that you need to consider that maybe ghost hunting specifically for the kids of the house or the property or wherever you are may not go down well with the adults that are there looking after them.
Yeah.
So there are things that are important to consider when you're in properties, and especially if the properties are notoriously haunted by things such as children.
Mm.
And so that's really one thing that I used to try and explain to people. And the second thing that I think is really important, but funny, because I once had somebody complain to me that this explanation was wrong.
Okay.
But either way, you've just sat there and said you loved it. So I'll repeat it. I've not repeated it particularly since I stopped, taking people around old places.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see how it goes down. You might get a lot of people comment on this video from this comment and say, no, he's wrong. But anyway, this is just my perception of it. Okay, so,
Yeah.
okay. If, for example, I wrote A to Z around the walls, and rather than talking to you directly like we are now,
Mm-hmm.
in the conversation I expected you to run around and point to the letters.
Mm.
If I didn't have a particularly important point to discuss with you, something that was probably worth you using up a lot of your energy over,
Mm-hmm.
you're probably not going to bother talking to me at all, are you?
No.
Okay, so that was the first thing with the spirit board.
Mm.
It's clear to see that the spirit realm have to use a lot of their energy to create movement on that board.
Mm.
I wonder if you would, well, anybody would, run around the room for the sake of a conversation.
I remember when I first heard that, when I heard you say that, I thought, oh my God, I've never thought of that. Of course, that's true. How would how would anybody else like it if they had to do that?
Yeah, exactly. It's just one of the things that I saw when I was thinking about taking other people with me and taking responsibility for other people in these haunted houses with me.
Yeah.
It was something that I kind of very quickly wanted to grasp the reflection aspect of this.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, people like the stuff that they see in movies and on telly, and when you have friends saying to you, hey, can we do a Ouija board? You know, you kind of want to do it for them, because done the right way with the right attitude and the right questioning, spirit boards can be a very effective part of 3D tools. Used wrong, in the wrong place, wow, you can get a bad reaction.
Yeah.
But these things that we're dealing with, that we call ghosts, they're just humans. Think about how you would feel if somebody was tormenting you, expecting you to run around a room pointing out the answers on, letters around a wall, and then you were asking stupid questions, or more importantly, distressing ones. One of the things that I used to say to people before we embarked on asking questions of the spirit board, I would say to them, look, think about this. If somebody comes up to you and starts a conversation with, how is your worst day? How horrible is everything? You know,
Yeah.
that's going to be pretty horrendous.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not a way to introduce yourself.
No.
So I like to sort of try and explain the fact that as long as you're bearing in mind these are human beings, and it doesn't matter whether they're alive or dead, the consciousness is very much the same. And if you treat them with respect and respect the situation they're in, well, life's reflective, you'll get it back.
And I suspect that there were a lot of members of the spirit realm who appreciated those ethics whenever you did go into a haunted place.
We often got some incredible good reactions from the spirit realm, and we could often go into a property that felt very emotionally down, depressed, perhaps negative, if you want to call it that, and make a difference. Often things felt quite positive, quite energized by the time we left, and had often tried to ask the right questions to be able to help anything that was reaching out through such an extreme method.
And if you could give some more tips to anybody who might be thinking about doing some ghost hunting or communicating with ghosts in a haunted place, what would you advise them?
Understand why you're going to that place and trying to lift the veil, because there may be something more to your visit than you just having fun experiencing something spooky.
That's a very good point. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.